Most people are walking around blaming somebody else for how they feel. Their boss, their mother, their coworker, their spouse, their kids. And because of it, they've unknowingly given away one of the most important things that they have, their power. You have a conversation with someone, a coworker, a partner, your mother, and the rest of the day is shot. Their tone, their words, their mood, and now your mood is affected. You're replaying it, you're crafting comebacks in the shower, you're agitated, and you don't know how to get back to feeling calm again. Well, here's the thing. What if I told you that other people don't have the power to control your emotions? The reason why they seem to have so much power over you is because somewhere along the line, you handed it to them without even realizing it. And in this episode, I'm going to show you exactly how you've been giving your power away. And by the end, I'm going to be giving you one framework that will change everything and help you take your power back and help you stay in the emotional state that you want to be in. Once you understand it and start utilizing it, you'll stop being a puppet to everybody else's mood around you. Before I became a life coach, I spent years working as a medical social worker, helping people navigate some of the hardest seasons of their life. Since then, I've coached hundreds of others through emotional eating, people-pleasing, anxiety, self-sabotage, and the patterns that keep them stuck. And if there's one thing that I've learned through my clients' breakthroughs, it's been their own awareness around what's causing their suffering. They're suffering in the present moment because they've handed their emotional power away to someone else. And when they learn that they can take that emotional power back and feel how they want to feel and think how they want to think in a way that empowers them, that is the victory, my friend. And this isn't just something that I learned in a textbook or just learned from the life coach school where I got certified from. This is something that I've actually lived and had my own breakthroughs with. And if I'm being honest, for most of my teens, 20s, and 30s, I had zero awareness or zero control over what was happening in my internal world because I didn't understand it. So if somebody was upset with me, I couldn't function. If I got a short text from a friend, I'd spiral. If my husband was in a bad mood, well, then I'm in a bad mood. If other people were arguing at a family gathering, I had no peace. I was emotionally fused to everybody around me. And I read books that told me, oh, it's because I'm an empath. But to my credit and to your credit, nobody teaches us this. Nobody sat us down in school and said, here's how you manage your internal state when somebody else is angry, disappointed, passive-aggressive, or dysregulated. We were taught math and spelling and science. We were not taught emotional sovereignty. And in fact, our conditioning, we're actually taught the opposite. And as a parent, I actually catch myself doing this sometimes with my 3 daughters. So we say things like, look what you did. You hurt your sister's feelings. Now, of course, we want our kids to learn kindness and empathy and responsibility. But underneath that statement is a message that most of us grew up believing, which is you are responsible for how other people feel and you can control how other people feel. And then we flip it and we believe that other people are in control of how we feel. And that is not the truth at all. And if you don't learn this skill or adapt this concept, you will spend your entire life reacting. Your peace will always be conditional to the circumstances around you. Who's in the room, who texted you back, who's disappointed in you, how everybody else in the room is feeling. And that, my friend, is not freedom at all. And what it does is it keeps you in a very primal state. It keeps you taking actions that are often people-pleasing, or the term that I prefer to call it, it keeps you in emotional childhood. So here's what I'm going to walk you through in this episode. First, I'm going to show you the neuroscience and the reason why you think other people are responsible for how you feel and why they have so much control over you in your mind. And then I'm going to teach you the concept around emotional childhood and emotional adulthood, because this is the shift that changed everything for me, for my clients, and it's going to change everything for you too. And lastly, I'm going to give you a very practical tool to use the next time that you feel that your mood is being hijacked by something somebody else did or said or their own emotion that they're feeling. You're not going to want to miss that. That is the part that changes everything. So you're wondering, why do people have so much control over how I feel? It comes down to one thing. You've made people responsible for your own emotional state without even realizing it. And so here's what that might look like for you. Let's say somebody is a little bit short with you. Your brain instantly interprets that as they're upset with me. I did something wrong. I need to fix this so I can feel good again. Or maybe you feel defensive. Why am I even nice to that person, right? And right there, what you've done is you've just handed them the keys to your nervous system. Suddenly, you're feeling a negative emotion. This is what psychologists call emotional fusion. It's where you can't tell where yourself ends and somebody else begins. And so for a lot of us, especially if you are empathetic to begin with, especially if you're a people pleaser, or if you grew up in an environment where you had to manage the emotions of the adults around you just to feel safe, then that pattern will run very deep. This is why for a lot of people, there is resistance to going to their childhood home, or to going to family gatherings, or being around that family member or their own parents. And so you know this, you know that you're giving your power away. You know that that one passive aggressive comment from that family member should not ruin your evening. In fact, you were anticipating for it to happen, and you know it, but knowing it and changing it are two separate things. But here is the truth that you need to hear, and it might sting a little. Nobody is making you feel anything. When somebody criticizes you, the criticism happens. That is the event. That is the circumstance. And the circumstance is completely neutral. The shame, the spiral, the 3-hour replay in your head of, I should have said this, that is not the circumstance. That is your response. That's your thoughts after the circumstance, after the event, after the words that they spoke. And here's what people never slow down enough to notice. Between what happened and how you feel about what happened, there's a gap, a tiny little space. And in that space, you have a choice. And most of us never see the gap. We go from, she said that thing, to, I feel worthless, without a single moment of awareness in between. It's automatic, it's unconscious, and it's running your life. But the moment that you see that gap, and the more that you practice filling in that gap with something intentional and conscious and chosen, is the moment you become emotionally free. And now this is where we have to talk about emotional childhood and emotional adulthood. So emotional childhood is when you believe that other people are responsible for how you feel. And it's also the act of you trying to change how other people feel so that you feel something. There's an emotional manipulation there, and it's called emotional childhood. So it sounds like, you made me angry. You embarrassed me. You ruined my day. They made me feel rejected. I feel small because of you. I just want everybody to be happy. I'm just trying to get everybody to get along. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. And listen, this has been trained in us since we were kids, and it makes sense to respond this way when we are kids. Children do not have a fully developed prefrontal cortex yet. They don't yet have the emotional maturity to pause, to reflect, to question their thoughts, to change their thoughts, to regulate their nervous system, and then choose to respond. So when you're little and somebody takes your toy, it feels like they are responsible for you being mad. They created your anger. When somebody leaves you out at school, it feels like they created your sadness. And the problem is that many people grow up physically, but they don't grow up emotionally. They become operating adults who are operating still in emotional childhood. So now, as an adult, you have beliefs and thoughts like, my spouse makes me feel unwanted. My boss makes me feel stupid. My mother makes me feel guilty. My sister makes me feel overwhelmed. Now, here's the kicker. As long as they are responsible for how you feel, they are in control of your life. If they have to change before you feel peace, then your peace is not yours. If everybody else has to understand you before you can feel okay, then your emotional life is outsourced to everybody else around you. Do you see how powerless that makes you? Do you see how closed in that can make some people be in their life? My bet is because most adults are operating in emotional childhood, they aren't living up to their most potential. They're not being who they truly are because they're so guarded. They're so conditional on what it would take for them to feel good. That is what emotional childhood is. Hey, quick interruption to the episode. I created something for you. It's a guide called The Identity Gap and a short mini training called The Disciplined Mind. I take you through a guided exercise in this training that will help you close the gap from where you are and how you're showing up today to how you would like to show up in the future. This is going to help you understand your patterns better, but more importantly, it's going to help you start changing them in real time. You can grab it in the description or the show notes. All right, back to the episode. Now, emotional adulthood is the sweet spot. This is where you're heading. This is where you're going to go. If you want to have power in your life, if you want to feel how you choose to feel and not be at the effect of other people responding or acting or behaving in a certain way. And emotional adulthood is you taking responsibility for your own feelings, for your own actions, for your own results that you've created in your life. Emotional adulthood says, my feelings belong to me. My peace is created because of how I'm choosing to think. Now, here's the thing. You can't be an emotional adult unless you understand one thing. Okay, here it is. Your thoughts create your feelings, not their behavior does not create your feelings. It's your thoughts about their behavior. And when you understand that, when you start living that, when you start disciplining your mind, which is the most powerful skill and tool that you will ever learn in your life, that is when you become powerful. That's when you take your power back. That's when you can start showing up for your life the way that you wish you could show up. And I am not saying that you don't set boundaries, that you have to go to all of these events with people who might be saying these things or behaving in a way that triggers you to have thoughts. I'm not saying you have to go expose yourself to all that. I'm saying being an emotional adulthood is taking responsibility for your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and the results that you've created. So it's so much more powerful to think the thought, I'm feeling sad because I'm thinking the thought that he doesn't like me. Even if you were to say that to yourself, do you see how much responsibility there is there? You're choosing to think this thought and it's making you feel sad. Okay, sad is fine. I'm always teaching you there's no emotion so powerful to harm you or to hurt you. So if you want to feel sad about something, feel sad about something. It's a powerful skill to have. So if somebody is saying something and you're having the thought, he's so mean to me, and that makes you feel powerless, it makes you feel sad and you don't want to feel sad, choose a different thought. Choose a different emotion. And if you have no idea how to do that, you should come work with me because this is what I teach you in my Disciplined Mind Accelerator. But look, the day that you take your power back is the day that you choose to not let your internal world be dependent on somebody else's behavior, somebody else's actions, somebody else's emotions. Now, one of the other ways that we give so much of our power away is through the invisible instruction guide. So basically what this is we all carry this invisible instruction guide with how other people should behave, how they should act, how they should feel. So some examples are your husband should say that they appreciate you more. Your wife should have more sex with you. Your boss should recognize your effort. Your coworkers should include you. And when other people follow our instruction guide, then we will feel okay. But when they don't, we suffer. And then we think that the problem is them. We think that if they could just change, then we'll feel better. And that's the trap because your emotional well-being is tied up in how well they follow your invisible instruction guide that they've never read and that they've never agreed to follow. This is why you can be angry at somebody for days and they have no idea that you were even mad to begin with, right? They didn't say the right thing. They didn't respond the way I had hoped. And now you're carrying resentment. You're replaying the conversation, which is wasting so much mental energy. And you're just quietly waiting for them to change so that you'll feel better. But emotional adulthood asks a better question, not why are they making me feel this way? Or why don't they realize how their actions are affecting me? Emotional adulthood says, am I willing to take responsibility for how I'm feeling right now? What am I thinking that's causing me this emotion? And when you can pinpoint the thought that you're thinking that's causing you to feel bad, that's the minute you take your power back. As a life coach, as somebody who specializes in teaching emotional mastery, I was once a woman who couldn't make a single decision without scanning the room for approval. For most of my life, struggling with making other people around me feel appreciated, valued, accepted, peace, like that was a big part of my role in my family. So whenever there was conflict, I would be the peacemaker. I just wanted everybody to get along because that was my pattern. I wanted everybody to feel accepted and loved. But what this did over the years was created so much resentment. Even while I was people pleasing, even while I was in emotional childhood, trying to say ingenuine comments to people to try to change their mood, instead of just allowing them to feel whatever it is that they want to feel. And that is one of the most powerful lessons that I learned from my coach was emotional adulthood is allowing people to feel bad. And when you learn how to accept other people's emotions and not try to manipulate them, again, you're stepping into your own personal power. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but every time that you try to manipulate somebody else's emotions, you're trying to say comments, trying to do nice things to them, your actions are actually pretty ingenuine. And after you take those actions, what is your thought about you taking those actions? Usually there's some form of resentment or frustration or bitterness. And as my coach likes to say, people pleasers are liars. And so when you're people pleasing, if you're ever taking that action, just remember you are in emotional childhood. You are trying to manipulate other people's emotions to make you feel better. Emotional adulthood looks like you accepting that you're feeling an emotion and you being accepting of other people feeling their emotions. It is an incredibly powerful place to be. And it's also a difficult place too. One of the powerful sentences that I used to tell myself was, I want everybody here to be having a good time, but it's going to be okay if they aren't having a good time. It's going to be okay if they are upset. And one of my other personal favorites is to just put my hand on my chest and say to myself, it is safe for me to not get involved, okay? You can do that when you have the urge to try to emotionally manipulate a family dynamic. Even just being honest with yourself too, and whatever emotion that you're feeling, it's safe for me to feel uncomfortable right now. It's safe for me to feel sad right now. That is so much more valuable than trying to get involved in changing other people's emotions. So how do you actually practice this? How do you stop blaming other people for how you feel without becoming cold, detached, or emotionally shut down or withdrawn? Let me give you the framework. So emotional adulthood is when you stop making other people responsible for how you feel. It's the recognition that nobody can make you feel anything, not without your participation, not without your thought. So here are my 3 steps. Notice the gap. The next time somebody's mood or their words trigger something inside of you, just pause. Chances are you're already feeling something and that's not a problem. Notice that your emotion is separate from the event. The event, what they said, what they did or didn't do, isn't what caused the emotion. So this is where you stop saying to yourself, they're making me feel mad. And you start saying, something in me just got activated. That one sentence alone can change everything. And step 2 is asking yourself, what is the feeling that I'm experiencing? So if it's mad, I am feeling mad right now. Name the emotion. Now, step 3, this is where the power is. Understand what thought you were thinking that is causing that emotion in you. And you can do this any time of the day whenever you're feeling a negative emotion. What is the sentence in your mind that created that emotion? Your thoughts created it. Write it down or repeat it in your head. I'm feeling mad because I'm thinking they are so rude. And I'm thinking they are so rude because they said these words. That is the event. That is the circumstance. And the circumstance is neutral. How is it neutral? It's only neutral until you have a thought about it. You could just as easily flip that sentence around, say something in your head to make you feel a different emotion if you choose to. But your power isn't understanding that your thought created the emotion. That is how powerful you are. Nobody is so powerful that they can make you feel anything. The power remains in you. The Bible says it like this: as a person thinks, so are they. You are what you think. And now here's the thing. If you choose to keep that thought and you want to stay mad, I encourage you to consciously choose to feel mad and upset, but consciously choose what actions you will take in that emotion. And my suggestion and my request to you is to practice just simply feeling the feeling. Don't respond. Don't go gossip. Don't go snowball and ruminate. Just simply allow it. This is what mad feels like in my body. When you can process emotion, that emotion will move through you and you can move on. And then after you process it, you can choose to think something else that would better serve you and your emotional state of being. Sometimes emotional adulthood can sound like, I can let them be disappointed. I can let them misunderstand me. I can let them have their own opinion. I can let them be in a bad mood without joining them. This is not about being cold or detached. This is about being sovereign. You can still care about people deeply. You can still be empathetic, but you stop being a sponge for everybody else's emotional state. When you start living as an emotional adult, when you stop letting other people's moods or opinions determine your internal state, something wild happens. You actually become more present for the people that you love, not less, because you're no longer showing up from a place of trying to manage their emotions so that you feel okay. You're showing up from a place of wholeness and self-love. You can still hold place for somebody who's struggling in their own emotions. You can still receive criticism without shattering your sense of self-worth. You can still love people fully without being controlled of their opinion of you. Emotional adulthood doesn't make you less loving. It makes you love cleaner, because now you're not loving people so that they will approve of you. You're not pleasing them so they'll regulate you. You're not trying to manage them so that you'll feel a sense of safety. You're loving them from freedom, from the emotions that you choose to feel in the moment. Nobody is causing you to feel anything. You are causing you to feel everything by the way you're thinking. And now that you know the truth, it's going to be the way you're choosing to think, because you know the secret now. You are the creator. So if this episode hit home for you, I've got plenty of other episodes that are going to help you step into emotional adulthood, take control of your mind, and discipline your mind. You should definitely check out these next 2 videos if you're interested in taking this work further. Don't forget about my Disciplined Mind mini course. You can check the links in the show notes. I love reading your comments. Don't forget to leave me one below and let me know what was your biggest takeaway from this message, from this concept. I'm super excited for you to step out of emotional childhood and into emotional adulthood, where all your freedom lies. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and I will see you on next week's episode. Goodbye.